We have an emergency update to talk about for silver, precious metals, the state of the world, because Trump and Putin are facing off the coasts of Venezuela right now. We're going to talk about this huge escalation because Putin has decided to send submarines and also warships, and Trump is potentially responding. And we also have some potential responses, some rhetoric coming out of the Russian state that we're going to talk about, and how all of this ties into what's happening with precious metals, right? So we're doing geopolitics, precious metals. If you guys enjoy that, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the video if you enjoy it, and let's get straight into it. So you can see right here, big potential manipulation coming in on the silver price. That's what people are talking about over on X. They're talking about manipulation that has been happening just recently because silver has been rallying so hard. Yesterday's video, as we were recording that live, you could see massive, sell candles come in as we started to really start to challenge the all-time high for silver. So yesterday, in the last 24 hours, we got up to this level, which was about $82.68, and that is not very far away from this level, which is, roughly $83.75. So nearly, like $1 off the all-time high for silver. Having said that, the price did get pushed down. It did get all the way down to here, which is about $76. And I have to say, guys, that's a very nice floor for silver. So, that is nice to see a bounce of $76. That potentially might be the new normal. We are in a hourly red candle currently, so it's still in a bit of a testing phase where we go next. But I have to say, look, if you have a kind of a longish term look at this price chart, guys, it is looking super solid. So money is still pouring into silver. What could potentially happen next with gold, silver, precious metals? It's going to be based off what's actually been happening around the world. So just recently, we have actually seen an escalation happen right here. So Russia has started to send the BS-329 Belgorod into the waters to the Caribbean, carrying 6 Status 6 Poseidon nuclear-tipped torpedoes capable of making nuclear tsunamis. So look, Putin is sending warships, he's sending submarines in an attempt to actually escort these sanctioned Shadow Fleet tankers that have been leaving Venezuela. And I think there is actually a bit of a pursuit happening. You can see this pursuit happen right here. So Russia has dispatched a submarine and several warships to escort a Shadow Fleet tanker that the US attempted to seize off the coast of Venezuela. They are now in pursuit in the Atlantic. And the tanker Bella 1 spent more than 2 weeks trying to bypass the US blockade on Venezuela but failed to dock and load cargo. In December, the vessel's crew repelled a US attempt to board the ship and then sailed into the Atlantic Ocean. It's now being pursued in international waters by the US Coast Guard. The tanker has since re-registered as Russian, be renamed Marinera, and the crew painted a Russian flag on the hull. According to the US sources, Russia then asked Washington to stop pursuing what is now claimed is a Russian vessel. Russia's foreign ministry said it was following the situation around the tanker with concern, and it's about 300 miles south of Iceland, and it's heading towards the North Sea, and a Russian submarine and other naval assets are moving in to support it. So that is, somewhat of a big escalation right here. You can see the path of the ships. And look, things are just getting spicier and spicier off the coast of Central America. This is a contested little area, but I would think, Trump's not going to back down. So my geopolitical prediction is Trump's not going to back down. And even on top of that right now, if you want to see some even more escalations for, precious metal and geopolitics, check out this. Breaking. Reuters reports that European allies, including France and Germany, are now coordinating a response in case the US moves to take control of Greenland. So we've seen the US take control of Venezuela. We are now seeing the US potentially claim Greenland as well. So that's Greenland. It doesn't have a very big population. I think it's owned by Denmark at the moment. And the US, Donald Trump might potentially just, annex this or something. So this is, this is quite big, right? This is a big conflict. And now Europe is, stepping to oppose this. And it's just kind of the state of the world. So remember what I've been predicting right here. I have been saying, look, 2026, 2027, this is all coming to a head right now. And this is why we're, deep diving some of these videos, because things are just getting crazier and crazier and crazier. So we have Russia, US, we have Putin clashing heads, we have Trump, conflicting with the EU right here. And then, a lot of people out there are saying there's a lot of silver price manipulation, banks are underwater, and a lot of the price manipulation is not real. So remember, at the end of the day, look, even as all this unfolds around the world, one of the great things about precious metals is it's real. If you own it physically, that's a very strong assurance that you actually own, what you're holding, and it's not held in a bank, and you don't have to, trust banks and third parties. And, it is going to get more and more volatile. And you can see this fresh alpha coming in. China orders tech firms to halt purchases of NVIDIA's H200 chips. So again, this is getting more and more interesting, kind of what's playing out right here. So again, there is also a risk that China just, like reverse engineers all NVIDIA stuff and just copies and pastes it and builds it itself as well. So things are heating up. They're getting contested. And I think it's going to get more and more volatile. And again, this is all fundamentally great stuff for precious metals over the long term. So even though we have been rallying pretty hard the last few weeks with silver, I think fundamentally, 2026, 2027, going into these next few years, I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see how all this plays out. And I won't be surprised at all if things just get a little bit more crazy. So that is a critical emergency update for you. That's exactly what you need to know in the world of geopolitics and silver. Really appreciate you tuning in, and let's read your comments before we go. So we have right here, Peter, thank you for spending the truth. Thank you for spending the truth. I think you might have meant spreading, but I appreciate that right there. And Young Pistachio says, regardless of the price, silver is a great asset to hold as a long-term store of wealth. Yes. So silver is one of the, I would think theoretically, fundamentally, one of the best assets at the moment, especially as the world is kind of spiraling right now. So what has happened in the past is when the world has been pretty, not chaotic and pretty smooth, and like the economy's going, everyone's pretty happy with their white picket fences, all that type of stuff. That's when silver doesn't moon as much, and it has been traditionally suppressed. But right now, as we start to move into this crazy time, you can just see just how rapid it's starting to shoot off. So remember, when it's everything's booming, and you got really happy people, and the stock market's booming, all that type of stuff. Silver, it has been suppressed. Traditionally, the price hasn't moved as much, but you can just see right here, as this crazy stuff happens in the world, geopolitics, it starts to really, really move and react to what's happening. And again, I think this stuff's just going to get even crazier. But that's my prediction. When diesel becomes cheaper, mining becomes more profitable. Yes, 100% fact. So yeah, Venezuela, if all that oil gets sold, and even if, look, we didn't even talk about Iran today, but even if Iran was to, get a new leadership group and say the US wanted to remove Iran from power, then they'd probably bring in all the US oil companies, right? And that would even make oil even cheaper once again. So that's another factor to watch out for. But again, these things are not as simple as you think. So even if there was like a leadership removal of the Iranian government, who knows if it turns into like a Syria or Iraq situation where you have all these factions fighting each other, which is not always that great. But that is just something very interesting. Thanks for that insight, Peter. And Bank of America anticipated 309 silver this morning. So yes, that would be insanely good. Look, if we got $309 silver, what is that? Like a 4x, nearly 5x. That is pretty good. And, again, long-term silver is looking solid. So, guys, that's a major update. Appreciate you guys watching. I will see you in the next one. Economic Zeus signing out.